I'm hoping that you'll all have one of those handbooks in front of you. Might be worth putting your name on it as well from early on. Okay. Welcome to Module 3, which we're titling Developing Impact. And Module 3 will build on the earlier modules. As you'll see, we have a full range of your feedback, your profile feedback now. So yes, your leadership styles feedback is in here, which you haven't seen. There's also your team styles and your original 26 behavioural characteristic feedback as well. So you'll have a full range of the document in one piece of paper. Let's have a look what we're doing over the next couple of days then. Today, as usual, we'll be opening shortly on a practical leadership exercise that hopefully will give us some insight into some of the leadership styles which are described in your feedback document. We'll then introduce the idea of leadership styles from a number of perspectives, and I'm hoping that the peer development group who researched the spectrum of decision-making styles are able to present their work today. If not, that's okay, but I'm hoping that can happen. We'll then move on to the specific leadership styles feedback from the ERAS instrument. So by the time you go away today, you'll have all of your feedback. Tomorrow, we'll lead with another slightly larger leadership practical exercise, and we'll go on to looking at other perspectives on leadership style, including situational leadership, including functional leadership, and including an Arabic perspective on leadership style. And then we'll do some application to real life and move on to preparing for the module over in the UK. And hopefully that can include quite a lot of practical information about best ways to get there, what the accommodation looks like, all sorts of things that are probably in your mind and you haven't had a chance to ask about yet. So that's the idea. So thanks for being here. Right, let's just have a think about our numbers. We have, I think we have 10 or 11 people. 11, great, okay. So maybe what I would suggest then is we work as one group. 2 observers and 1 leader, yeah. Okay, fellas, this will require you, I think, to maybe get into a group, certainly so that you can speak together. We would like, from your group, to have 2 people who want to observe this next activity. That will involve watching the group, making a few notes about behaviours that they saw, and feeding back into the review. We also need somebody who's prepared to take on the role of leading the exercise, and that person will get a specific briefing from Ian. I will brief the rest of the group in here, and then the leader will take the group into the room beyond there where the exercise will take place. And it'll be, let's say, a little unusual, I think, this exercise for you, and hopefully both challenging and satisfying, I hope. So you need to make some decisions together about 2 people who are going to observe and 1 person who's going to lead the group on this exercise. Over to you. Tell us when you know who those people will be. Yeah, I want 1 group with 2 observers and 1 leader from the whole group. So, preferably people who haven't done those roles before while we've been working with you. Preferably.
Your real chance to have a go at leadership role or observe.
Can I just explain?
By all means.
احنا الحين نبغى واحد ليدر ونبغى 2 observers. أنا يعني assume I can be good observer because I never done this before. يقول أخي يفضل أن تأخذ دور فإذا ما في أحد سوى أوبزيرفر يجي معي يصير تو أوبزيرفر. في أحد ما قام دور ملاحظ من قبل. خلاص تو أوبزيرفرز. والليدر نبغى ون ليدر. إذا دكتور عبد الله أو إنجينير موسى. لا دكتور عبد الله. ون ليدر يريد ون ليدر. هو is a leader. دكتور عبد الله. دكتور عبد الله he used to be a leader before, but he's not leader. واحد ليدر. واحد يعني ما قام. So we have a leader here.
Fantastic. Okay.
He's your leader, our leader.
And you're the observers?
Yes, we are.
Great. If you want to come with me, and I'll talk.
Fellas, take your workbooks with you.
Yes.
Take your workbooks with you, observers and leader. Yeah.
So you've got something to write on.
Okay, let me give you an overview of what the exercise will involve. And I mentioned that it would be a little unusual. When you go into the room next door, there will be a circle of chairs around a table, and we will ask you to put blindfolds on. And you will remain blindfolded through the whole exercise. The leader will also be blindfolded. When you are in your blindfolds, we will distribute plastic parts of a full set. The full set will have 2 parts missing. By working together, you will ascertain, you will find out what the 2 missing parts look like in terms of shape and what colour they are. You may ask, Ian, what colour is this? The pieces that we give you may not be shared with your colleagues. They may not touch them. Only you can touch the pieces that you've been given. Now, the pieces are chosen so that they have distinct shapes. For example, there might be a solid shape. The actual shapes are smaller than this. There might be a solid shape with some curves, some angles, some points. There might be a shape with a hole in it of some kind. Those are examples of the sorts of shape that you will have. So you will need to find some way of verbally communicating the shapes that you have and listening to the shapes that your colleagues have and finding some way of assembling an idea of, so what have we got overall? How many of these shapes? How many colours are there? And then arrive at a solution. The solution has to be complete. You cannot solve one shape and then move on to solve the next. You must tell us the whole solution. The 2 shapes that are missing are this colour and this colour and this shape and this shape. So that's how it works. That's how it works. Very shortly, your colleague will come through and we'll take you through there. So the important things are, you cannot let anybody else touch your shapes, but you may describe them in whatever detail and whatever way you choose to. And you may ask, what colour is this, as many times as you wish. But we can't help apart from telling you what colour things are. Good.
What's the relation?
What's
the relation between this exercise and the impact? Developing the
okay?
impact?
A lot of leadership relies on letting go of a need to control and allowing a group to develop its own way of operation and to be heard, to be able to communicate with a common language. So in offering this activity at this stage, we think it will test and let you question the right balance of leading through trying to control and to have a vision of how to solve this problem, balancing that with the need to draw from the group how do they understand the problem and how can they solve it together. So we'll see. So I'll just check how Ian's getting on. So
قالوا في مربع.
أحد أضلعه كيرف، واحد أضلعه كيوب.
يا شباب أنا أتوقع أن الحين الفكرة أن كل قطعة فيها 3 ألوان أو 4 ألوان.
صحيح.
بعض القطع منهم لون يعني لون واحد، فأتوقع هذا الميسنج.
أيوة بالضبط.
طيب أنت الحين هذا القطعة اللي معاك يا رياض شلونه؟
شوف أنا متأكد من اللي أقوله. طيب هذا دقيقة بس بشرح شيء. هو له قطعتين، يعني من لو بأمسكه من الجهة اليمين له قطعتين كيف ممتاز، ومن الجهة اليسار كأنه مربع. فما ادري شباب وافقوني.
اقرب وصف له وش
شلون جاي هلالين يعني هلالين متعاكسين.
ايوه هلالين يمين.
اي طيب اوكي. انا معي نفس القطعه، هلالين متعاكسين بينهم بار.
وش اللون اللي معك يا رياض؟ شنو اللي معك؟
جرين.
انا معي الازرق.
انا معي يلو.
نفسه؟
تقريبا هي نفسه.
هلالين متعاكسين.
هلالين متعاكسين حتى.
اوكي شباب هذه ايش رايكم نطلعها قدام؟
هذا هلالين متعاكسين لونها يلو.
طلعوا قدام اللي معكم.
هلالين متعاكسين.
اللي نفس الشكل. نفس الشكل بس نفس الشكل.
طيب
انا قدام.
من اللي معه؟ انا معي الازرق.
يا رياض
احمر ازرق.
رياض شكلك نفس الهلالين متعاكسين.
عندك شباب ركز يا شباب.
جنب بعض.
شباب ركز.
يلو طيب اوكي.
طلعوا اللي معكم والشباب طلعوها قدام.
بدها خلاص احطها.
خلاص قدموا حطوها قدام. مضبوط.
حطها قدامي خلاص.
حطوها قدام.
هذه 4 قطع.
لا 3 قطع.
أنا معي واحد.
عفوا شباب.
رقم 2.
عندي واحد اخوي.
شباب لحظه خلوني بس افهم شوي. لا شباب
خلينا نشرح.
ثواني يا شباب.
لحظة شوية.
رياض معك واحد.
لا مو انا بشرح وش اللي عندي.
عندك نفس اللي قالوا الشباب هنا ليه؟
لا مو متعاكسين جنب بعض. انا اللي عندي مو متعاكس.
لا مو نفسنا.
طيب خلنا خلاص خلينا ما دام كسبنا الان المعلومه.
إيه.
من اللي عنده هلالين متعاكسين؟
أنا عندي رقم 2.
انا تقريبا
لون يلو.
يلو وانت شلون يا
انا يلو نفس الشيء وانا احمر.
شلون مو معقول يلو؟
الا ممكن يجي ليش ننزل بعد.
طيب ممكن نعطي يا شيخ اشوف وارجع.
لا
ليش؟
لا
ما في قانون ما قال
خلاص مره واحده بس يعلمك اللون.
لا اخذ اللي عنده واشوفه اذا زيي ولا لا.
لا تعدي يا اغراضك.
ما تلمس.
طيب اشرح لي عندك رقم كم؟
رقم 2.
حسن
لا
منو اللي يتكلم طيب معك؟
هي رقم 5 انا.
ليش 5 و3 ما يتكلم ولا
8 في 8.
شباب الوقت يا شباب الوقت شوي. الحين الهلالين متعاكسين مع المهندس علي.
معي باسم.
وانا
معك باسم حلو.
اي وانا معي رقم 7.
رقم 7. طيب رقم 7 ورقم 9 ورقم كم يا باسم؟ 2.
رقم 5 برضه.
رقم 5 هلالين متعاكسين؟
يعني بس فيها يعني
لا انا مو الكلام الاكيد. انا تراجع
هلالين واضحه هلالين متعاكسين قوسين متعاكسين.
لا فيها
لحظه يا شباب
لا بدون فتحه
يا
في
شباب
النص.
المهندس علي الحين بيشرح لي عنده. اشرح لي
يا جماعه هلال شفت هلالين كانكم لازقون بعض ولكن بطريقه متعاكسه.
صحيح.
بينهم بار.
صح.
اذا يجمعهم
بدون فتحه في النص.
بدون فتحه يعني بدون
صحيح.
فتحه.
لا هذا فيه.
صحيح.
ما في اي ثقب في النص.
لا يا جماعه
خلاص اجل خلي عندك يا
انا عندي رقم 2 نفس
One thing I might say to
خلاص قدموا
you, one
قدام.
thing I might say that will help you. Imagine you're describing a fruit. Somebody had an orange, somebody had a walnut, and somebody had a grape. They all seem to be the same thing, they're all round, but really they're very different. So you need to be very precise with your language.
حلو. اوكي رياض وش اللي عندك غير؟
طيب انا ما
وش الثاني عندك؟
رياضه
ثاني انا الاصفر نفس الصوره خليني بتذكر انا جبتها تقريبا نفس اللي شرحها وانه في القاعه الثانيه اذا تتذكرون يا شباب الشكلين الشكل اللي كان تحت اللي لها زي الرجلين ومن فوق 2 كيرف.
2 كيرف ولا زوايا؟
اي لا 2 كيرف يعني شفت
اذا صعب اللي عندي دور انا اقول خلاص تجي
طيب سوي الباس.
خلينا نجي العقبه عشان بس اعطونا اشكال.
رقم 3 رقم 2
رقم 2 عندي الاول هذاك نفسه متشابه مع رقم 9.
حلو. ايش
هذا
اللي عندك؟
خليه على جنب. الثاني
لا ما تحطه على جنب، حطه قدام.
هذا
الهلالين دول
اي
يقدمون
لون
الرجال.
اصفر. اي
طيب وش الثاني؟
الثاني لونه ازرق، فيه قوس من جهه ومربع من جهه، وله نفس الزعانف اثنتين فوق، واحده كبيره واحده صغيره مثلثات.
اي هذا عندي
نفس
أي
الانبياء.
هذا عندي.
هذا
في فتحة من النص.
عيد الشرح.
لا تكون فتحه في النص.
ايوه هذا عندي. عيد الشرح.
هذا عندي.
من الجهه نص منقله مقوس، من جهه مربع او نص مربع زاويه، وفي زاويتين في الاعلى زي الزعنفه. انا اللي عندي لونه بلو.
انا اخضر.
وانا اخضر.
انا اخضر.
انا احمر.
ممكن تعيد الوصف؟
عيد الوصف بس.
هو منقلتين، واحده صغيره واحده كبيره يمين.
ايوه.
ومن الجهه الثانيه من اليسار لو مسكت المنقلتين يمين من الجهه مربع.
اي.
واسفله زي الكيرف زي كذا منحنى بسيط.
لا هذا مو نفس اللي عندي، مو نفس اللي عندي يا رياض.
شيء طيب باسم.
طيب.
اشرح مره ثانيه.
من جهه مقوس منحنى.
الشكل شلون؟ مربع مثلث اقرب شيء؟
منقله نص منقله.
نص منقله.
وهو
يعني مثلث.
طيب
يعني مثلث اقرب شيء.
منحنى بدون زاويه، منعطف بدون زاويه، والجهه الثانيه زاويه مربع مستقيم، ومن فوق في مثلثين، واحد كبير واحد صغير نفس الزعانف.
انا
انياب، واحد كبير واحد صغير.
هذا عندي.
انا
ترى هو نفسه خلاص.
واحد يشوف
وانا بلو.
خلاص حطوه قدام.
اصفر
وش الالوان الموجوده؟
انا بلو ازرق.
اصفر.
انا اصفر.
كم واحد الحين موجود؟
2 اخضر و2 احمر.
اصفر.
واحد اصفر.
مين جبت 2 احمر؟
قالوا شباب.
رياض عندك واحد.
اذا في جهه من وجهه كذا وجهه زعانف عندي اصفر واحد.
عندي احمد.
ما في فتحه في النص.
لا
ما مش فتحه.
زعانف كلكم عندكم؟
اي عندنا زعنفتين.
وفي فتحه بالنص ولا ما في؟
ما في.
رياض عندك في
اي انا موجود فتحه بالنص ما في.
اي ما في. انت رياض خوشتكم.
عندي
ما انا اقول ما في يا جماعه، بس هو ما ادري فيه من فعل.
خلاص ترى هو نفسه خلاص. اللي بعده.
يا شباب طيب يلا خلينا نكمل خلاص. هذا شو ما
طب خلينا نقدمه قدامي.
الوان ايش اللي معك؟
انا اخضر.
اللي بعده من اللي معك؟
انا بلو ازرق.
وانا اصفر.
انت ازرق.
لا اخضر.
انا مثل رياض.
انا ازرق.
انا مثل رياض. انا اخضر. ما معقول يكون نفس اللون. اكيد في خطا.
في خطا.
اساله.
في خطا. هذه خلينا نخليها.
انا احتمال يكون خطا عندي.
اي
قلت اول.
نخلي هذا اللي بعد باسم. من اللي بعد باسم؟
انا رقم 3 باقي.
رقم 3 عذرا.
طيب الشكل اللي عندي ما بعد جبته زيه. عندي شكل على شكل مثلث
ايش؟
في وسطه دائره،
ايوه
اسفل قوس. سهل اكيد. انتهى الموضوع.
في وسط الدائره
عندي زي
مثلث كانه راس شجره، زين، وسطه دائره،
حلو مضبوط.
اسفل قوس،
شلونها
يعني ضلع مستقيم ضلع قوس، وفي الوسط دائره.
الله
اللون احمر
كانه سكرين.
احمر وانا بعد احمر.
انا عندي منها اخضر.
انا عندي ازرق.
عندك كل شيء.
جالس اشوف. يا شباب عندي الاخضر واحمر. رقم 4. ها الجهه المقابله للمثلث بالزاويه. هل هي مستقيمه ولا؟
تسالني انا؟
اي
طيب انا قلت جهه مستقيمه والجهه الاخرى مستقيمه،
نعم،
وجهه قوس، وفي الوسط دائره،
وجمع
3 جهات، ولونه احمر.
طيره وجه.
انت لو قلبت خليته مثلث تحت بيصير زي السكرين.
لو قلبته فعلا يطلع زي الايس-كريم او الورده او كذا، وفي الوسط
طيب وش اللون اللي معك دكتور؟
احمر.
انا معي ازرق. من يشبه اللي معنا؟ انا احمر مثل المهندس. نفس الايس-كريم. وبسطه دائره.
زي وسط قوس.
انا ابغى اعرف وش الوصف الاسكريم.
احنا معنا اشكال.
وسط فتحه.
بعدين يصير ذكر.
دائره. ها دائره.
يصلح خاتم.
الله مضبوط. طيب وش اللون اللي معك؟
احمر. انا ومازن زي بعض.
مع نفس الشيء ممكن تتشابه الالوان يا استاذ.
انا اتوقع في الوان متشابهه. اشكال والوان متشابهه.
يا شباب ايش طلع لوني
وفي وسط دائره.
هي انا اتصور في شيء ما يجي
10 minutes of your time has elapsed. You have 25 minutes
في
left.
ثنتين ما لهن شبيه.
شنو الدائره؟
في ثنتين مفقودات. طيب هذول 4 صح؟ طيب نطلع عن قدام يا شباب.
يلا بسم الله.
وش نطلع عن المتشابهات اللي قدام 4.
طيب الثانية اللي عندي، الثانية زين،
اللي
ركزوا معي لو سمحتوا لأنها صعبة مرة.
الثانية يا شباب
الثانية لو سمحتوا.
اسلم.
زين، واحد من أضلاع مستقيم.
ايوه.
زين، وضلع زين في منعطف وضلع فيه زعنفة.
عيد مرة ثانية.
اللي معي هو عبارة عن 3 أضلاع.
حلو.
ضلع مستقيم وضلع فيه زين نص دائرة بسيطة وضلع فيه زعنفة.
نص دائرة.
زعنفتين ولا زعنفة واحدة؟
يعني في عنده زعنفة والزعنفة الثانية تزعفها.
ايوه هذا عندنا. هذا عندنا.
وش وسطه يا فلان؟
ما وسط الشيء، ما وسط دائرة.
وش اللون اللي عندك ابو؟
اللون اللي عندي أصفر.
ولا مثلث.
انا اخضر.
احمر. اقول لا مثلث ولا شيء.
ولا شيء جوا.
انا نفس اللي عندك بس في مثلث.
إيه لا إيه.
شباب انا عندي سؤال.
هذا
إيه.
عندي سؤال.
إيه.
نبغى نحسب الالوان وبعدين عاد ننقل. كم لون موجود؟ الازرق كم والاصفر كم؟
أنا عندي صفر.
انا عندي واحد اصفر وواحد اخضر.
لحظة نبدأ من واحد.
اللي عنده اخضر يقول.
ايه نبدأ من
الاخضر.
اللي عنده لون يلا يدعو.
واحد عندك اخضر.
اي نعم واحد.
يعني 2
ما في اخضر.
3
ما في.
4
ما في اللي فيه يقول عندي وخلاص.
احسن كل واحد يقول
لا تصير لخبطة ما نشوف.
بالسمع.
هذا عندي 5 6 ما في اخضر 6 عندك واحد حلو 3
7 ما في اخضر.
ما في اخضر 8
في 2 اخضر.
حلو 9
ما في.
انا عندي 2 اخضر.
الله أكبر.
6 حبات اخضر.
6 حبات اخضر. طيب
زاد الله حياتكم خضارة.
طيب الازرق يا شباب.
ما عندي.
واحد.
ما عندي.
انا رقم 2 عندي واحد اخضر.
أنا رقم 3 وما عندي أزرق.
4 ما عندي.
check by
حلو 4
ما عندي.
6 ما عندي. وش ازرق
7 في واحد.
يا جماعة جاني النوم.
7 في واحد.
طولا لله.
7 في واحد. نعم. اوكي 8
ما في.
انا اراها 9
واحد.
ايوه
لا شكلك
أنا
ماسن
عندي
أنا
واحد.
وياك.
4 زرق و
6
خضر.
حلو شوف الاحمر.
Remember 2 pieces are missing.
اوكي يعني هذه معناها ان هذه اللي مفقوده. الاخضر الازرق 4 حبات صح؟ اذا باقي لنا 2 بالاخضر.
15 minutes has elapsed. You have 20 minutes.
طيب يا شباب
remaining.
نطلع كل الالوان. وش اللون الثاني غير
اصفر.
اصفر.
عندك الرياض اصفر.
واحد اصفر.
2
واحد اصفر.
3 عنده واحد أصفر.
حلو
4 واحد اصفر.
5 واحد اصفر.
6 لا يوجد اصفر. ها؟ لا يوجد اصفر. ايش تقول انت؟ لا يوجد اصفر. لا يوجد بعده 7.
7 في واحد.
حلو.
والترتيب
8 9 حلو مضبوط.
You can ask
8
If you're not sure, you can ask.
8
اللي مو متاكد.
انا اتوقع انه خلاص بانت يا شباب. الازرق هو اللي مفقود. نطلع كل شيء ونخلي الاحمر رياض.
ما عندي. ما في لا يوجد احمر.
3 2
ما في احمر.
3
عندي واحد أحمر. واحد أحمر.
اللي بعده
4 واحد احمر.
5 واحد احمر.
6 1 احمر.
7 ما في.
عندي واحد احمر. كمان.
تقول 7 واحد احمر.
خلاص انا 6 انا 6 يا شباب. اجل الزرق يا شباب. وخروا كل اللي معكم وخروهن.
إيه
خلوا الازرق
خلنا
معكم.
عطونا الزر.
واللي ما عنده ازرق خلاص
اسكت.
حطها قدام.
يسكت. يلا الله يبارك.
الازرق.
اللي معه ازرق كم؟
قاسم رقم 2.
اللي مع الاصفر يوخره يعني.
خلاص كل شيء بس باقي الزرق. باقي الزرق معكم. باسم
إيه.
رقم 3 انت.
2
أنا شخصيا ما معي زر.
اي تاكد منه وث كلر.
3
تاكد منك
3 ما مع أزرق.
طيب انا بشرح اللي عندي. انا عندي الحين زي مثلث
ايه
نفس المثلث، اللهم الا النتوءات فوق ثنتين
ايه
وسطه مثلث.
وسطه مثلث.
ايه كمل.
معك ها ابو معاذ؟
لا معي احمر زيه. اوكي
حلو. طيب من معي نفس الشكل ذا؟
لا خلاص هو خلاص اذا لقيناه بيشوف ان الشكل اللي الازرق الالوان الثانيه اللي مو مثل ازرق. بنشوف الاشكال الثانيه
ازرق بس مو بنفس مو بنفس الشكل اللي هو
واضح. من الثاني عنده ازرق؟
انا ازرق.
الثلاثه؟
انا رقم 2 عندي ازرق.
اوصفه.
اللي جزء منه نفس المنقله، نفس منحنى، وجزء منه مستقيم، وفوق في نفس الزعنفتين، واحده كبيره واحده صغيره.
طيب
هذا زي اللي عندي.
شباب
وفي دائره في النص.
لا بدون دائره.
هذا مو زي اللي عندي.
يا شباب ابي تركزون بس بنقطه. الان ان بنشرح كل واحد عنده قطعه زرقاء يشرحها زين. وإن نشرح اكيد في الالوان الثانيه فيه قطعه ما ذكرناها، يعني يا اخضر او اصفر او احمر. القطعه الثانيه اللي ما ذكرناها بالازرق هي المسنج. يقول ترى يا جماعه لا في قطعه لونها اخضر او احمر او اصفر، ترى شكلها كذا انتم ما ذكرتوها الازرق، هذه هي المسنج. فهمتوا الفكره؟
اي واضحه. اللي عندي كلها. طيب رقم باسل.
هلا
وش اللي عندك قلت مره ثانيه بس نص منقله
صح؟ في جهه نص منقله، وفوق في زعنفتين واحده كبيره واحده صغيره، وفي الجزء الثاني مستقيم.
حلو. اللي بعده من اللي بعده؟
انا رقم 3.
رقم 3
ما معي ازرق.
لا مع ازرق.
اللي مع ازرق.
معي رقم 7 فيه.
اشرح
رقم 7. في احد قبل 7 مع ازرق؟
Can I ask you a question? You establish the colour.
Yes, it's the blue.
The blue one's missing, and what's the other colour?
Yeah.
Yeah, the blue is the missing.
But
we
now
have
that-
two missing shades.
Yeah, and one's blue, and what's the other colour?
اوكي. رقم 7.
اشرح.
ايش راح عندك؟
عندي كانه مستطيل جيد في وسطه دائره.
اوكي.
من الدائره هذه على جنبها من هنا تقريبا زعنفتين طالعات.
يشبه الهاشتاج.
هاشتاج يعني لا هذه مثلث زعنفتين مثلثه.
ما راح يطلع
نفس الشكل موجود عندي بس لون ثاني.
لا عندي اخضر نفس الشيء. طيب اللي بعده.
طيب الازرق اللي عندي انا هلالين وبينهم بار، هلالين يعني متلاصقين متعاكسين يعني. زين.
اوكي.
عندك انت الازرق.
طيب انا قلت لك وش المثلث ولا النتوءات فوق احد الزوايا.
وسط المثلث.
له نتوءتين وداخل المثلث.
طيب وش الاشكال يا شباب اللي ما ذكرناها في الازرق؟
واحد منهم اللي جواه دائره.
ايوه هذا واحد.
وعنده جانبين اللي شكله سكرين.
سكرين. طيب والثاني؟
زي اللي عندي.
والثالث اللي يشبه
مستطيل شكله.
وفي واحد يشبه
لا
الهاشتاج.
مثلث.
وفي واحد يشبه الهاشتاج.
ايه. طيب
هذا موجود عندي انا اصفر.
انا عندي واحد يشبه الهاشتاج ما ذكرناه بالازرق.
طيب طلعوا هالقطعتين اللي عندك يا ابو محمد اللي نفسها.
اللي عندي وين احطها؟
عطني بيدي.
وين انا؟
لا
Yes. So that's red. So
Yes.
you got two people.
ارفع يدك
Yeah. Sorry, you've two people holding shapes up, so one needs to put it down.
Sorry?
You have two people holding up shapes.
Yeah, because we have two missing.
Yeah.
ايه بس واحد منكم لازم ينزله.
So the shape being held up now is red shape.
انا نزل يدي بالعربي.
الميسنج وين انه البلو من الشكل.
The missing is a blue color for this shape.
So you're saying for that shape, you've got to give the answer together for both of them, but you're saying a blue for that shape.
Yeah, blue for this shape and with the number.
Three.
Number 3, he has the same shape, missing for blue.
So both in blue.
Yes.
Is that your final answer?
They are the missing shapes.
Okay, I'm going to give you a few more minutes that answer is partially correct, but not fully.
Okay, يعني معنا واحد منا صح واحد.
انا متاكد ان هذه.
The shape that you're holding in your hand.
اسمع.
هذا شيء
Okay.
نواف.
Nawaf,
Yes.
the shape that you've got in your hand, you've said is missing in blue is correct. The other shape and colour and shape is wrong. So I'll give you a few more minutes.
So this one is wrong.
That's correct.
It's correct.
اللي زي الهاشتاج خلاص.
Okay, yeah, with the number 3, right? The one is wrong.
The other shape is incorrect. Yeah, it's wrong.
دكتور اللي معك خطأ.
طيب اوكي.
Have up to 15 more minutes.
Okay.
يا شباب بس اذكر مره ثانيه، احنا شرحنا الالوان اللي بالازرق اي الاشكال اللي باللون الازرق.
نعم.
هل احد عنده شكل غير الالوان بلون ثاني غير اللي تكلمنا عنه باللون الازرق؟
قلت لكم انا تو قلتوا خطا.
نعيد الشرح.
لا عند رقم 7 اتوقع انه في شغلات مختلفه.
شباب نعيد الشرح دكتور.
عد الشرح.
نعيد الشرح للي معهم ازرق بس. نعيد الشرح. ازرق. انا معي مثلا نعم بس ازرق.
انا اتوقع ان اللون
الازرق ترى كله في عمل فريق، يعني نحتاج انكم تقولون هذه في شكل مفقود ما موجود ما ذكرتوه بالازرق. واضح؟ اكيد ان الازرق.
انت متاكد انه ازرق؟ انا اتوقع انه
لا. الحين احنا بنذكر 4 اشكال بالازرق، احنا عندنا 6 اشكال. ممكن تسال لو سمحت بس عندنا 6 اشكال.
You can always ask for your colours again if you hold them up like a double check and hold them.
ايه اذا بتسالون على الالوان مره ثانيه.
What is this color, please?
That is blue.
And this one?
This one?
Sorry, 3 people holding colours. So one at a time.
ارفع واحد.
That is blue.
Okay.
The shape being held up now is red.
And this one?
So that is blue.
And this one?
That is red.
And this one?
That is yellow.
Okay.
خلاص. شباب ببدا من عند 7.
ترى عندك انت 3 قطع.
اي عندي 3 قطع.
Do you want to check your colours? That's blue, yeah. Yeah. And you've got more.
Here, blue.
That's blue, yeah. This is blue. That is blue, yeah.
Have 2 blue. اي عندك اوكي.
انا اتوقع الشكل الثاني مو في اللون. اللون غير.
صح.
الاول اللي طلعته انت صح.
المفقود الليدر.
اوكي احنا قلنا في
اللي انت طلعته اول شيء صح هذا. الثاني لونه مو ازرق.
اعيدوا يا شباب.
اجل ابى اوصف لكم انا اللون اللي عندي الاصفر الاحمر هذا اللي يجي على شكل سكرين. في احد عنده زيه؟
اي معي انا.
ودايره في النص. هذا خلاص هذا مو
رقم 7.
يهمنا الازرق يا شباب.
احنا يا شباب دقيقه احنا عندنا مشكله باللون. الان خلينا نتاكد من عدد الالوان مره ثانيه.
نعم. انا معي 2.
طيب دقيقه ابدا من واحد
معي اصفر واصفر.
نتكلم عن الازرق يا شباب.
واحد ما معي.
2.
واحد ازرق.
3.
ما معي.
4. 5.
ما عندي.
6. 7.
1.
8. 9.
1.
وانا معي 2. 5 طلعت.
5. طيب يلا اوكي.
في شكل مفقود.
انتهينا من الازرق.
اوكي.
شو الاخضر؟
من يمسك الازرق؟
اخضر واحد.
اتوقع الاصفر.
رقم 1 متسابق 1 احد
اخضر. طيب
ما ادري
ليش انا استعجل؟ رجال 1 معك. 2.
ما في اخضر.
3.
ما في اخضر.
4. 5. 6. فيها اخضر. كم واحد؟ 7.
ما في.
8.
عندي 2 اخضر. 4 6 اخضر.
طيب
اوكي 9.
لا يوجد.
انا معي 1. 5 اخضر بعد.
5 اخضر.
5 اخضر بعد. اذا مفقود 1 ازرق يا شباب، مفقود 1 ازرق وطلعناه الازرق.
اي خلاص.
طلعناه خلاص.
عندك.
ايه
يا الليدر انا حسبتني 1.
طيب يا شباب.
اي
1 اخضر.
ابو نفل معلش. الان يا جماعه اللي عنده الاخضر نوصف الاخضر عشان نعرف وش القطعه الغير موجوده.
احسنت.
البقيه يسمعون الوصف عشان لو في عندهم شكل هم ما ذكروا الشباب يقول انا الشكل
صحيح
من اللون الاخر ترى ما ذكرتوه يا الاخضر.
حنبدا من 1 صح؟ من اللي معه قلنا.
انا عندي بوصف.
بعد 1 خلاص بعد اخضر.
معي اخضر.
يلا اوكي وصل.
زي المستطيل له مثلثين مثلثين مختلفين الحجم تحت بعض.
نص دائره.
احد اضلاعه
كم ضلع هو؟ كم ضلع؟
4 اضلاع.
ايه
ممتاز. الضلع واحد الاضلاع مستقيم والضلع كانه مستطيل. ضلع مستطيل، ضلع طويل.
وش وسطه يا رياض؟
فمغلق.
طيب
احد الاضلاع فيها مثلثين
طيب اللي بعده الاخضر اللي بعده
هذا ما في زيه.
ما حد عنده نفس الشيء.
انا عندي اخضر 6 بس ما هو زي اللي ذكرناه. لا ما نبغى اخضر، نبغى من الالوان الثانيه يشبه ذا. في احد اجل رياض اشرح بالله يزيدك.
طيب عندي انا الموجود مستطيل.
ايوه
انا عشان اوضح ويبغى لي افسر اكثر.
لا ما نبغى كلمه كذا تفاصيل كلمه طلعنا بالطوش. نبغى تفاصيل بسيطه.
طيب مستطيل.
هو يقول قبل شوي يقول حاول تشبهه بالفواكه كمثرى عنب.
طيب قربتني انت كذا.
ايه
احد اضلعه كانه الشوك الاناناس.
شوك تفاصيل
شو اسوي؟
10 minutes remaining. 10 minutes.
اقول تفاحه لا ما
معلش رياض الشكل عندك صعب شوي. خلينا نشوف بقيه.
يا جماعة الخير اللي بعده اللي مع افضل اللي بعده يا رياض. انا عندي لحظة كم
دقيقة.
6 قبل 6 في احد؟
2 3
يلا 6
زي ما ذكر المهندس الجانب اليمين واليسار قوس كانها قوس هلالية.
حلو.
بالوسط مستطيل، من الجانب اليمين واليسار والمقابل فيه مربع صغير.
خلاص اوكي. اللي بعده.
طيب انا عندي اثنين اخضر.
يلا اوكي.
الاخضر الاول زي المثلث، اللهم الضلع اللي تحت فيه منحنى وسطه دائره.
طيب هذا مثلث وسطه دائره.
نعم مثلث
زي الايس كريم اللي يقولونه؟
لا مو بسكريم، هو في منحنى كذا
يمكن
زي الكيك.
طيب وسطه دائره.
وسطه دائره.
مثلث لو قربت صار كنا ايس كريم ولا لا؟ دائري من فوق. اي
ايوه
فوق في دائره صح؟
وسطه دائره.
اي هذا موجود الشكل.
موجود عندي واحد زي.
طيب الاخضر الثاني صراحه شكله شوي صعب، يعني في ضلع مستقيم حلو، وسطه مثلث جيد، والضلعين الثانيه كانها زي
نتوءات.
اي كلها كيفات.
مثلث هو ولا وش؟
اللي وسطه مثلث.
عندي واحد مثله انا اصلا.
ايوه وهو ايش؟
وفي ضلع مستقيم والضلعين الثانيه فيها كيفات.
كويس جميل.
هذا عندي واحد اصفر زيه تمام.
احنا نبي يا شباب نبي الالوان الثانيه اللي ما ذكرت فقط. اللي اذا مثله خلاص
ما اتوقع اللي عند الرياض خلاص ولا.
طيب عندك يا ابو
لا عندي
اللي عند الرياض والحل.
اللي عندي انا زي احد اضلاعه زي كانه الزقزاق، زي كانه مثلثين مختلفين الحجم.
بس ما في جوا ما في دائره.
لا ما في دائره، انا وش الموجود عندي؟
نفس اللي عندك بس في دائره.
اي لا كانك جايب مثلثين مختلفين الحجم مدخلهم مربع.
لا هذا خلها معك ويشوفها عندي.
اذا ما كان صح
هذا لازم اشوفه.
اذا ما كان صح ما مشكله. لا هذا صح اللي قاعد اقول ان شاء الله.
شكل اناناس
شكل
نواف
انا اظن هذا هو اللي خلاص.
how many؟
7 خلاص يا نواف شكله مع الرياض.
اللي عندي الاخضر هو الهاشتاج اللي زي الهاشتاج
هذا موجود عندي انا.
وش لونه؟
اصفر.
طيب
اوكي ما حد معاه مثل اللون ذا؟
الا عندي.
لا مو بهذا السؤال. السؤال الثاني يا شباب، يوم شرحنا كل الالوان كل الاشكال اللون الاخضر، هل في شكل لم يذكر بلون ثاني؟ بالاحمر بالاصفر ما ذكرنا.
ما في الا عند الرياض.
لا هذا اخضر، انا اوريدي اخضر. احنا
نبغى احمر او اصفر او ازرق، شكل لم يذكر.
انا في شكل عندي بس ما اعرف
هل
الرياض شرحه مضبوط ولا لا؟
اشرحنا
اللي هو زي ما كان يقول سنوس اللي هو ضلع يعني مربع او خط كذا، بعد كذا نص دائره او
صحيح.
وبعد كذا اللي هي فيها الزعانف قلتوها او هي اناناس او ايش اللي يكون.
طيب ما حد عنده دقيقه، ما حد عنده اخضر بنفس الشكل هذا؟
اتوقع هذا اذا الرياض تصير مضبوط حيكون نفس الشيء.
طيب في واحد ثاني.
طيب معلوي
هذا على شكل مستطيل، يعني فيه ضلعين طويله وضلعين قصيره، الضلعين الطويله فيها زعانف وفي دائره في الوسط.
هذا هو معناه.
هذا هو.
انا ما عندي دائره بالوسط. انا ما عندي.
خايف انه نفس اللي عند شو اسمه.
انت ما عندك دائره؟
لا انا ما عندي، انا مسكر.
رقم 7 نفس
عند حسن. ها
رياض ما عنده دائره.
انا ما عندي دائره بالوسط.
لا دائره عند حسن شوف نفس اللي عند معلوي يا حسن.
وش سكريم ودائره في الوسط؟
لا دقيقة معلوي
مستطيل
محمد بخ.
ايوه مستطيل وفي دائره في الوسط، الاضلاع الطويله فيها
اجل
هذا عندي رقم 7 نفس الشيء. صح.
طيب سؤال
لكنه بلو.
خلاص اجل عند معلوي. هذا الشكل مسك من لون اخضر.
ايوه بالضبط.
يا معلوي ارفع يد عندك.
5 minutes time remaining.
ارفع يدك يا معلم.
طيب وش دراك اني ضابط؟
ارفع يدك. يا green.
Green.
Yes.
So can you hold the two missing shapes up and tell me the colours? So
This is the blue for the blue the same.
that in blue, yes. And what was the other shape? If you want to get your colleague to hold up the other shape.
You need to ask my colleague.
Yeah, to hold up the shape that was missing.
Okay.
You just showed me.
ارفع يدك ارفع بال.
And what colour is that?
شكل.
That's missing.
معلول.
ايوه هذا.
And that one in blue. In green. Yes.
Well done, guys. You cracked it.
هذا مو من الناس هذا نفس اللي عندي
شوفوا جواب يا شباب نواف شوفوا جواب
هذا الاسكريم
نفس اللي عندي
هذه قبة مثل قبة وعليها شو اسمه
مربع. انا اقول لك جزء من قلم من حلقة جزء مستقيم.
هذا هاشتاج هذا يا اخوي انا قلت لك اول شيء ما صدقت هذا مو كندي
قلت لك لما قلت كندي كان قلت لك اسمعني
انا وترني هذا.
So, it isn't uncommon for groups not to finish the exercise. It's a common not everybody
عادة التمرين سويناه مو الكل ترى يجيبها وعادة ما يخلصونه بالوقت.
Yeah. But the more important thing really is that the learning from the exercise afterwards, what people have got out of the exercise and what they've understood. And quite often after the exercise when you reflect you see what happened.
طيب. المهم من التمرين انه بعد التمرين انه we reflect بمعنى انه نشوف ايش قدمنا ونتعلم من التمرين نفسه.
So if you think about a work scenario, work situation, where we're in a group, we all have something to offer, we all have a perspective to share.
Okay. يوم احنا نكون في بيئة العمل لو نضرب هالتمرين في بيئة العمل كل واحد عنده وجهة نظر، كل واحد عنده جزء من المشاركة، فأعتقد إنه التمرين هذا كان جزء من هذا البيئة.
So in a situation that we have a choice, we can choose to share or we can choose to be quiet.
Okay. فعادة في بيئة العمل زي التمرين هذا نقدر نشارك أو نقدر نسكت ما نشارك في التمرين.
And quite often deciding to be quiet seems to be a very neutral position that won't cause any problems. But in reality, as you saw there, by not sharing or giving your perspective or your view, you were detrimental to the group and the solution.
عادة معظم الناس ما يشاركون وهذا بالأوقات معظم البيئة اللي نشوفها في العمل إن ما حد يشارك بآراء لكن هذا مو بصحيح. جزء من مشاركة الآراء يوضح ويفتح الصور زي ما صارت في التمرين هذا.
So you see the importance of that everybody has a part to play within the team to make sure that their idea, their view, their perception is shared around.
من المهم جدا إنه كل واحد فيكم يشوف قديش أهمية المشاركة في could you repeat the last 2 points?
So it's their responsibility to make sure that they've shared their option and their views and their ideas, or they will deprive the group of something.
طبعا زي ما ذكرنا من قبل إنه جدا مهم إنك تشارك آرائك والأفكار المطروحة لأنه تلعب دور في بيئة العمل نفسها.
And one of the things for a leader which sometimes can be quite difficult is to make sure that everybody contributes and has an opportunity to contribute as well.
جميل. واحدة من الأشياء اللي يواجهها القائد والصعوبات التحديات إنه كيف يخلي كل المشاركين فعلا يتفاعلون معك.
And this is a great example where a leader may not know how to do the problem, but the resource of the group, if it's used correctly, can get to a solution.
عاد وهنا مثال إنه أوقات إنه قائد ما يقدر يعرف الحل لكن باستخدام جميع الريسورس والمساعدات وطرحكم للأفكار يقدر يتوصل للحل.
Great. So we'll just ask a few things questions then. What did you find particularly helpful when you did that exercise? What helped you make some breakthroughs or some move forward?
In that particular challenge?
In that challenge.
وش الأشياء اللي تعتقدون سويتوها اللي ساعدتكم إنكم توصلون للحل أو تعدون الصعوبات اللي أنتم واجهتوها؟ أي فكرة أي شيء.
Organizing.
Okay.
Organizing.
Okay. The participating, organizing.
Yeah.
Listening.
Yeah. So the quality of listening from other people, and when you say organizing, what do you mean by that?
I mean, by giving numbers and ask anyone to say what he has. That's participating, honestly. And the thing we didn't do first, that's a mistake actually. We should have counted the colors from the first place.
Yeah. So when you say organizing, it's about developing a strategy.
Yes. strategy.
So to develop a strategy
Yes.
and a structure.
I didn't do it actually
Ah.
before we start.
Well, let's just
because
concentrate.
I didn't know anything about the game. What is it? Exactly?
Yeah, let's just concentrate on things that work well. So that you were pretty good at making sure that you listened to what people had to say. You were good at eventually counting how many pieces there were. Anything else that made a big difference? Anything else that made a breakthrough?
You change the strategy. You go within one strategy and you find it's not working.
Yeah.
And you change it to try
Yeah.
another one.
Yeah, and that.
And you will find the right one.
And that is a great point, because quite often organisations will go down a road and they will not abandon what they're doing, even though it's wrong. So being able to change what you're doing and adopt another strategy sounds simple, but I imagine there was people saying, no, let's keep doing this, let's keep doing that. So to change a strategy can be quite a difficult thing, but ultimately it's very helpful, yeah.
Okay, I'll
Sure.
explain it real
Yeah.
quick. واحدة من الأشياء اللي تواجه الشركات إنه وانس إنهم خلاص يصرون على استراتيجية معينة ويمشون فيها في مسافة طويلة، أوقات يكتشفون إنها خطأ، ومن الصعوبة جدا إنه يغير الاستراتيجية، فتلقاه يستمر على نفس الخطأ هذا. فجدا مهم إنه الإنسان يكون فلكسبل، إنه يغير استراتيجية، لكن فعلا ما سهلة مع المنظمات الكبيرة.
Anything else that worked for you? Anything else that stood out? That
يقول الحين أي شيء بشكل عام ملحوظ كان كبير، أو أي تعليق أنت لاحظته سواء من التمرين أو من الصعوبة اللي واجهتوها.
أحد الاستفادات إنك ممكن تستخدم كل الحواس.
Okay.
يعني ما تعتمد على حاسة.
He's saying one of the techniques that we did in the exercises that we utilized all our senses, like touching and feeling and trying to describe what we believe it is.
And what I saw happening as well is that, which was really good, I saw somebody explain a shape, and then people would listen, and then I saw people say, you tell me what your shape looks like. So you got the person to say, this is what I see, this is my world, but tell me about your world.
Okay. يقول واحدة من الأشياء اللي شفتها جدا جميلة إنه كل واحد وصف القطعة اللي عنده، ومو بس زي كذا سأل عن الآخر إيش القطعة اللي عندك. فما كانت إنه بس أنا أوصف اللي عندي، أبغى أسمع برضو اللي عندك عشان نشوف وين وسيلة إنه فعلا نتقابل.
أيضا من الأسباب اللي ساعدنا مسرع الحقيقة فكرة تصنيف الألوان، كل لون كم عدد.
Okay.
هذه كانت الصراحة مفترق.
He's saying one of the key words of achieving or success was identifying how many colors and how many pieces are there for that particular color.
That's right. That strategy comes on there. Yeah, and it's quite common for a leader not to initially to have the answer. And as it is in the real world, sometimes a leader doesn't have the answer, but you have the expertise and the knowledge around you to draw out. So how well do you feel you did that? How well did the group enable the leader to do that?
Okay. يقول عادة في القائد وانتم تشوفونها دائما، القائد مو دائما عنده الإجابات. في أشياء يواجه مشكلات ما يقدر يجاوب عليها، لكن مع استخدام الخبراء اللي حوله اللي مثلكم يقدر يتوصل للنتيجة. فأنتم قديش تشوفون أنكم حققتوا هالجانب من هالإكسرسايز بشكل عام؟ تتوقعون أنكم سويتوها فعلا؟ Yeah, okay, they're saying yes, they're agreeing and they're saying that we did actually contribute a lot once we achieved, help the leader to clarify different inputs.
So some success there.
Exactly.
And I could see, even though I don't speak Arabic, I could see people kind of really linking and sharing their information. And I could see that symmetry, that connection there. Just through the body language and the nodding of the head, people going, yeah, I've got that. that shape really.
يتكلم يقول بغض النظر أنا ما أفهم عربي أقدر أشوف إنه فعلا كان في اتصال من بالضبط من البودي لانجوج. ها؟
Yeah. Yeah, well, we'll be seeing that later unless you give us more money.
I wonder if the observers have a perspective that they'd like to share. And particularly, I particularly ask the observers to keep an eye on the extent to which the leader was prepared to enable others to contribute, or the extent to which the leader felt they had to have a solution to offer. So that's one of the particular perspectives I'll be asking the observers to
اوكي اعتقد هو سالكم واحده من الاشياء الابزرفر انه هل تعتقدون انه الليدر على طول فعلا طلع باجابه او انه فعلا استخدم الاخرين في الوسيله اللي يقدر يتحقق لهذا الهدف. فانتم بصفتكم انكم observers وشفتوا اللي جالس يصير، اعطونا الانبوتس حقتكم، ايش لاحظتوا؟
It was clear in Arabic or English.
بالعربي هم يدبرون
يدبرون عنه. كان واضح لنا انه واقف ما شاء الله عليه كقائد قدر فعلا يسال اسئله كثيره جدا يحدد حتى شو المطلوب قبل كان سال انستراكتورز وش المين يعني كرايتيريا فقالوا الكلر اللون وقالوا له الشيء. فبدا صراحه من اول وبعدين كل ما كنتوا صراحه كثير من المرات يرجعكم.
المهندس علي ولا كان؟
لا علي حكايه اخرى نقولها الحين. المهندس علي ديفرنت ستوري. فصراحه النواف كان ممتع بهذه. الجميل اللي خلاني بعدين نعجب بالنواف ويعلق عليه الحين ابو صالح مثلا كان في رياض ما شاء الله عليه كان هادي. قال بالاول عرف الديك ومنه وكلامه صحيح حقيقي بس انه كان هادي يعني يقولها لما بين سنين كانوا ستريس تعرفون بعضهم كان فرياض مثلا كلمه الهدوء باسم جعله محدد اعطى كلمه واضحه هذا الكلام. مهندس موسى رضي عنه دقيق لما وصف المثلث ولا القوس كان طبعا مهندس لا بد يصف بدقه. محمد بخس ما شاء الله عليه سايمن على اللي حاطه على السالب ما اظن قال كلمه ونص ما قال بس انه كان يفهم يعني هو جواب صح لما كان يقول هذا اللي عندي كان عكس جدا الله يطول عمره مازن كان صراحه كوميدي بالنسبه لنا انه يلا عباك الله ويه وتمام عليك ربي وجهك ومبلمع جنب قدي كان.
Can you give us a quick? I'll summarize it. He's saying first.
عمره كان منصت مره وجاب اخر جواب الراعي اللي كان يسكت.
أعطى فرصة يترجم.
That's right. So he's saying basically that what good thing about the leader. He identified the objective and the task. Then he break through it through questions. Then after that, he started to identify that the group behavior, as a group, they have different behaviors, different inputs. Some of them were silent, some of them were engaging. For example, the engineer, when they explained the shape, they were very detailed compared to other people, and some. So you can see different behavior, different inputs from different participants. Mainly that was the observant. So he started to identify each person what they actually did in terms of behavior.
And that is a great leadership trait as well, the ability to realize that people will give information in different ways, and the questions that you ask will definitely help the quality of that.
واحدة من الأشياء الجميلة في كقائد إنه إنك تسأل بحيث إنك توضح كل مشكلة والشروط حقتها by breaking down. ففعلا كان good observant و good technique من الليدر النواف.
كله good.
Anything else?
آخر ملحوظ المهندس علي حقيقة لاحظنا 3 مرات تبارك الله إنه يجيبهم exactly the right question 3-4 مرات حتى كانوا يضيعون. فكان صراحة يعني تبارك الله حتى يسكت هم كذا.
Okay, he's saying that there was the engineer Ali. Oh yeah, so he's saying that engineer Ali sometimes when they ask a question they go over the course and he like remind them okay let's do it to come back and ask them by asking the right questions.
Good, the right question. Good.
والله خير صالح واحد من الشباب اللي كان يعطي اجابات جنب القدة.
كان ايش؟
كان يعطي اجابات جنب القدة غلط متحمس فانا اسال نفسي اقول لو عندي بيشترك الموظف عنده معلومات بس هادي او خجول او يعني متحفظ وعندي واحد برضه معلوماته دقيقه بس يرجع.
He's saying that there were some participants that they were excited, motivated, but they're giving wrong inputs. And and he's saying, what if in an organization you have someone who's shy but he has all the knowledge and all the know-how, but he's not participating, while vice versa, someone who's just engaged but they're saying wrong inputs.
Yeah, and that is a big challenge in leadership. The volume doesn't necessarily mean that it's more right, it's just more louder. So it's making sure that you as a leader that you get that balance with it really. And it's and some of the shapes people will say I have got that shape and people go I've got that shape as well, but they are completely different, and we saw that, so the only way you can really check that is by questioning. So tell me more about what you've got, tell me more so I can understand. Anything to add because you would
in Arabic.
Yes, by all means.
أنا أتفق مع الدكتور أحمد في أشياء كثيرة. نواف كان رائع من البداية كيف قدر يفهم ويحلل أنه لازم يقسم كأرقام
ويوزع الادوار، فهذا جزء من الابتكار والابداع.
جميل.
انا اتوقع. وكان ايضا يسالهم ويذكرهم. يعني يحاول كل شوي يسال يطرح اسئله ويخلي الناس تجاوب. باسم تولى القياده، يعني سحبها. تعرف احيانا لما يكون واحد قائد متحمس تكتشف ان احد الاتباع يتحول الى قائد فجاه. تلقاه يقول لهم اسكتوا ويرجع ويقسم الادوار، بعدين ترجع القياده مره ثانيه لنواف.
Okay. أي والله خفاك. So he's saying that I totally agree what Ahmed, the second observer, mentioned, but at the same time, Nawaf showed a very creative solution by numbering each member. Furthermore, he discussed that as a leader, sometimes you have followers that take part of the leadership. For example, like Basim, when he starts telling them, okay, please. Let's quiet down. Let's discuss this. Then giving the floor to the Nawaf afterwards. So sometimes followers becomes leader at some point. Then they leave it for the leader himself.
And again, today we got to look a lot about style and where that particular style is very appropriate. When people have knowledge and they need to share it, it's okay to hand over for that time.
Okay. طبعا شو راي بس بضيف الانبوت بعدين باخذ الكلام عندك. يقولوا فعلا واحده من الاشياء القياده او انواع القياده كستايلز تختلف من شخص لشخص، انه اوقات كيف انه تعطي شخص اخر انه يمسك اشياء معينه زي مثلا في الشده ولا وات ايفر، بعدين يرجع ياخذها. فحلو انه كقائد من اساليب القياده انك تسوي ديليجيشن، انك تعطي الشخص يمسك مثلا تاسكه معينه بعدين ترجعها لك.
Was there anything else?
مهندس علي جدا هادئ وذكي في تداخله، يعني مهندس موسى مبادر وكل شوي يشرح للشباب ويهديهم ويعطيهم هو فكرته. وجت فتره الكل كان مستمع وهو يصرف الشيء.
Okay. He's saying that I also agree that Engineer Ali was very smart. All his inputs were on point. He's not talking, but once he's talking, he's saying what is it needs to be
It's worth
said.
listening to.
Exactly. And he's saying also that there were some members such as Musa whose are initiative. They're giving extra effort despite the fact no one told them. And at some point everyone was listening to him.
Yeah. And it's a great example is that it's impossible to solve the problem unless everybody has a contribution. It's impossible to solve the problem unless you have some sort of structure and leadership to enable to do that.
طبعا في النهاية أو في مشاكل من الصعب إنه أو من المستحيل إنه شخص واحد يحلها، تحتاج تعاون من بين كل الفريق والإنبوت.
And finally, are you curious? Have you any questions you'd like to ask your colleagues about your leadership? Sorry.
Last one point.
comment about بخش والمعلوي مستمعين جيدين. الدكتور عبد الله جميل لما انتهى دوره توقف عن ازعاج غيره صراحه فعلا، لانه هو كذا في ناس يعني قال فكرته وصلها خلاص يرجع يسكت ويتحول الى مستمع.
خليه يسمع حلو.
Okay, so he's saying that there were two great listeners who actually listened exactly and clarify. And also one good initiative from one of the participants is that once his task, his role, and they identify his not part, then he just stopped and listened. So sometimes it's good that you know when you should involve, and once your job is done.
So once you've made your contribution and it's there, now is the time to be quiet. Once you've made it, good observations. That's great.
رياض ومبادر ولكن بدون تركيز، يعني يتحمس ويعطي رأي وانجيجمنت وكذا بس ما يركز يعني.
Okay, he's almost the same as we discussed. He's saying that Riyadh is giving initiatives, but he's not focused.
Okay, and. Finally, thank you so much. Thank you, observers. There. Were you curious about anything you wanted to ask the group about your style or anything about the leadership style? And is there any feedback you'd like to give back to the leader?
تبون أي feedback لنواف، أي شيء ملحوظة من ناحية leadership style؟
حط العيني وحشوا.
أنا أول واحد. بعد السنة نعطيك صفقة. الحقيقة استمتعت بالقيادة. يعني كان جميل، يعني مميز في المعلومة وفي التوجيه، وتوقعت ان احنا نفشل لكن يعني الحقيقة فعلا اصر حتى نجح. على فكرة هذه من اجمل الالعاب اللي لعبناها.
It's very easy to get to get a bit overwhelmed by it, but you appeared to me to be very calm, and you kept with a strategy. You kept at it all the time. So there was a lot of effort there. I could see going into it, but you had a very calm approach as well.
It was exciting.
Yeah.
It was
Good.
One of the feedbacks they mentioned is that despite the fact at some point we thought we were failing, but eventually you succeed, and it was really pleasure having you as a leader.
Yeah. And those are the crucial. That's when you need a good leader. When you think it's all going to fall apart, but your leader kind of brings you back up. That's good. That's good. Thank you, guys. Thank you. Anything, Andy?
Yeah, very much so. The quality of the information from the observers was terrific.
Yeah.
Really good, really valuable. I think it's a demonstration of how we've moved from perhaps where we were a few months ago to being able to really get something out of our practical activity. And I don't think you were a volunteer. People pointed to you and said, why don't you lead? You did a great job, a really good job. So that's great.
Good.
One of your colleagues asked a very good question while I was talking to the group in there. They asked the question, what is this practical exercise to do with impact? How is this to do with impact? Well, it's a great question. For me, what we've just seen is a great example of impact. Impact from each of you, choosing the way you'll impact. What impact do I need to make here, and how will I make that? Will I just do what I kind of always do? Will I do what I sometimes do when I get excited and engaged? Or will I think about what is the appropriate way in this situation to contribute to the group? What impact do I want to make? In many ways, the development journey that we're on here is to do with controlling impulse. And the ERAS feedback gives you some good information about what your impulse might be, and sometimes the right thing will be to go with that impulse, but sometimes it will be to step back and think, no, in this situation I won't do what I normally impulsively do. Give it a go.
That was a lot. So واحد من المشاركين سألوا سؤال، قال إنه التمرين اللي سويناه إيش الهدف منه متعلق في الإمباكت اللي كنا نتكلم فيه أو التأثير. فالفكرة إنه التمرين هدفه إنه يوريك إنه كأننا كأشخاص نعرف احنا استلمنا الإيرس سيستم which is ستايل شفتوها اللي كل واحد different styles. اوقات يوريك انه بغض النظر عن التمرين اللي انت متواجد فيه، في اوقات تلقاك انت تمشي بالاسلوب اللي انت دائما مرتاح له، وفي اوقات لازم تدرك نفسك انه مثلا اسلوب انه انا اصير قائد حزم ما ينفع بهالوقت لانه احتاج الكل يتشارك معي. فهنا يجي الدور انه كيف انه بعض التمارين تتطلب منك انواع من القياده مختلفه، ما ينفع تمشي على نوع قياده واحد، وكل شخص فينا له تاثير في التمرين او في بيئه العمل، او فلازم الواحد يسال نفسه ايش نوع التاثير اللي انا ابغى اتركه في بيئه العمل او في المكان، سواء كان تمرين زي التمرين اللي سويناه او على حسب البيئه اللي انت فيها.
Good. Okay, we're going to move now to the next part of this. When do we need to give you a break? At 6?
Yes.
Yeah, okay. For the next 5 minutes or so, can you reform your peer development groups, the 4 groups that we had last time round, and can you have a conversation in that peer development group about the colourblind exercise and what each person reflects on according to, can I just borrow your script? According to the page that's in here. Colourblind, practical exercise, page number 2. What leadership behaviours did you see or hear? What impact did that behaviour have on the group and the task? What turning points did you notice in the climate of the group? So that would be great. You just spend 5 minutes or so, maybe in here, just pull your chairs together, in the peer development groups, focusing on that conversation. Okay?
البير ديفلوبمنت جروب اللي متفقين عليها الأربعة تيم حقك، اجلسوا مع بعض امشوا على الأسئلة اللي موجودة اللي تتكلم عن التمرين اللي سويتوه. ففي عدة أسئلة، الأسئلة ما أتذكرها، لازم أشوفها ولا إذا تحتاجون أنا أقدر أترجم لك إياها بلحظتها.
Yes, please. Yeah. So you leave a few of these just before we break.
Yeah, just in your groups. Yeah.
Just before we break, We will therefore not see you now until after the next prayer. So you will break at 6 for the prayer. When will you be back able to work with us?
متى يمديكم ترجعون بعد 6 ها؟
6:30.
6:30 is great.
6:30.
So we will see you together again, 6:30 in there. But have these conversations in the next 5 minutes.
Well done, thank you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for that as well. Thank you for that great.
Great. Okay, this next part of the evening, and we hope that we can work through now to 8:30. First of all, can I check that would be okay?
That's okay.
That's okay. Right, smashing. We may not need all that time, but so the focus for this evening is going to be leadership styles. Part of this evening will be getting your full profile, including the leadership styles information. And part of it will be having a presentation from one of the groups about a model of leadership style. It's not the model that this is based on, but it's a very well-regarded and classic model of leadership behaviour. Before we get into that, just a few thoughts really about what do we mean? What do we mean by this term leadership styles? It's very simple. We mean patterns of behaviour. We mean the patterns of behaviour that a leader chooses to use. And that will be some combination of listening, of giving direction, of giving feedback, of coaching, all of those sort of behaviours, some combination of those things. Can I just check, have any of you played the game of golf? Anybody? Golf? Yeah. Anybody else? Anybody watched golf on the television? Familiar with it? How it works? Okay. I don't play golf. We're going to use the idea of the game of golf as a way of bringing leadership style decisions to life. I'll tell you more about that when we get to it. But what we've got first is a presentation around spectrums of decision-making styles. Leadership is not just decision-making, but decision-making is an important part of leadership. And we've asked this group here to give us an input for 10 minutes on spectrum of leadership decision-making styles. So we'll hand over to you guys. Do you need slides or any visuals? Oh. He's gone away. What? So, okay, the floor is yours, gentlemen. By all means. Yeah. So. Yeah, spot on.
السلام عليكم. حياكم الله خير. الجروب تبعنا ان شاء الله سيتحدث عن خطوات اتخاذ القرار او مراحل اتخاذ القرار. الحقيقه بعد البحث في هذا الموضوع يعني وجدنا كثير من المقالات والحديث، لكن سنتحدث عن ما اذا كانت عندك مشكله كيف ممكن من خلالها تتخذ فيها قرار مناسب. طيب عندنا 5 خطوات. الخطوه الاولى بعنوان الوعي بالمشكله. الخطوه الثانيه تحديد المشكله. الخطوه الثالثه اختيار الحل. والخطوه الرابعه تقييم واختيار البديل المناسب. والخطوه الاخيره هي تطبيق هذا الحل والمتابعه فيه. طيب سنتحدث عن الخطوه الاولى اللي هي الوعي بالمشكله. المقصود منها هو ان كثير من الناس يحاول يتهرب من المشاكل التي حوله. الشخص اذا كان واعي بالمشكله التي عنده يستلزم من خلالها التعرف عليها ومن ثم المعالجه. مشكله هذه الخطوه اللي الوعي بالمشكله فيها متاعب وفيها تضحيات. فكثير من الناس يعني يحاول انه يتهرب من انها يعرف شو المشكله فيه. لان اذا دخل فيها وعرف وش حدودها وعرف وش مشاكلها فيها تضحيات وفيها متاعب وفيها هدك. فهذه هنا خطورة هذه المشكلة. أيضا إذا الشخص أهمل المشكلة ولا صار عنده وعي بهذه المشكلة بيجي من خلال الاعتراف، بما أن كل مشكلة تأتي بمشكلة أخرى. فإذا الشخص ما بادر بالمشكلة الأولى وعرف وعيها وحددها تتراكم على المشكلات. طيب كيف ممكن الواحد يحاول يعرف المشكلة اللي هو فيها ويعي فيها؟ في أسلوب اللي هو المقارنة، إنه يقارن نفسه بنفسه بين كل فترة وفترة. كذلك ممكن الواحد ما يستمع من غيره. الشخص إذا استمع من غيره خصوصا إذا كان شخص قريب منه يحاول يعرف المشاكل اللي هو فيها ومن ثم سيعرف حدود هذه المشكلة. طيب هذه الخطوة الأولى. الخطوة الثانية إن شاء الله هي تحديد المشكلة مع الأخ محمد الكبر.
السلام عليكم. أعتقد أن تحديد المشكلة من أصعب الأشياء، لأن تحديد المشكلة يترتب عليها نقاط كثيرة. يترتب عليها الحلول للمشكلة، يترتب عليها طرق الوصول إلى أفضل حل. آخر فبعضهم يرى هذه المشكلة وبعضهم لا يرى المشكلة. فعند العمل مع فريق يجب على القائد أنه يحدد المشكلة بشكل واضح للفريق الذي معه، لأنه إذا ما كانت الوضوح لجميع الفريق فإن الحلول تكون مختلفة. زي ما شفنا اليوم في اللعبة، بدأ الفريق بالحل قبل أن يحدد المشكلة، فهذه من المشاكل الكبيرة التي يجب حلها قبل. فبعد تحديد المشكلة ومعرفتها جيدا ننتقل بعدها إلى الحلول، والحلول مع الأستاذ باسم.
السلام عليكم. طيب الحلول احنا عندنا بعد تحديد المشكلة نحدد الحلول. طيب في بدائل كثيرة للحلول. طيب عندنا أهم شيء عندنا نستفيد من الخبرات السابقة. الشخص القائد لازم يستفيد من خبراته السابقة في الإدارة في شركات أخرى أو في مؤسسات أخرى عشان يبحث عن حل جذري أو حل مناسب للمشكلة اللي هو فيها. فعندنا في شغلات كثيرة يستعين فيها عشان أو نصائح خاصة بدائل للحل. أول شيء الاعتماد على رصيد الخبرات السابقة تكلمنا عنه. يسأل إذا يشوف أهم شيء أنها تطابق المشكلة أو تطابق نفس المؤسسة، مو يروح يشوف مؤسسة صناعية عن مؤسسة خيرية أو شغلات، لازم تكون مطابقة لنفس المؤسسة اللي هو فيها. تعرف إذا ما كان أحد زملاء عنده نفس المشكلة، يعني يشوف زملاء من القادة من المدراء اللي عنده ممكن يكون عنده مر في نفس المشكلة هذه، فيتبادلون الخبرات. إيش سوى هذا؟ إيش سوى خطوات عشان يحل المشكلة هذه؟ إيش سوى عشان يسوي جروبات، يسوي حلول جذرية للمشكلة، شغلات دراسات. يعني أهم شيء إنه يناقش مع زملائه ممكن في أحد مر بهذه المشكلة. سؤال الآخرين غير المدراء غير هذا، ينزل للآخرين يبحث عن النصيحة من الآخرين سواء كان معاه العمل أو خارج العمل. يسأل موظفينه اللي تحته، يسألهم عن حلول، يجتمع معهم. الاجتماع معهم فدائما أنت لما تنزل نفسك كقائد إلى مرؤوسيك اللي تحت تجتمع معهم كل فترة وفترة، بالذات في مشاكل في شغلات تحلونها سوا، فهذه الآراء تختلف وممكن تحصل حل للمشكلة من أحد موظفينك اللي عندك. مناقشة المشكلة في اجتماعات، ممكن gathering meeting يعني على مستوى الشركة أو مستوى المؤسسة، فتناقش المشكلة هذه. إذا كانت مشكلة كبيرة وهذا فتناقشها على مستوى أكبر. البحث في الكتب والمراجع عن المشكلة هذه ممكن تحصل لها في على مستوى العالم إن في مرة وناس بهذه المشكلة، فتبحث عن حلول. فالأخير نستعين بالاستشاريين وأهل الخبرات والرأي في حل المشكلات والبحث عن حلول هذه المشكلة. الجزء اللي بعده مع
طيب السلام عليكم. الآن احنا مرينا بالمراحل السابقة حتى أن نحلل. أول شيء نكتشف المشكلة ونشعر بالمشكلة، ثم ننتقل إلى أن ندرس الحلول الموجودة، ونحاول أن نستعين بأهل الخبرة ونستعين بالأبحاث وبمن مر بهذا المواقف حتى أن نحدد الحلول البديلة أو البدائل الموجودة. اتخاذ القرار معناته أنه في عندنا مجموعة من البدائل نختار ما بينها. الآن نأخذ مثال، لو افترضنا أنه شخص يعني سيارة صارت قديمة وصار مطلوب منه أو رأى أنه مطلوب أنه يشتري سيارة جديدة. كيف يقدر يقرر وش السيارة اللي بتكون مناسبة؟ أنا السؤال لكم ودي تشاركون. كيف يختار السيارة اللي ممكن أنها تكون مناسبة له؟ آخر. بالسعر. على حسب الميزانية، على حسب الاحتياج. طيب. أفراد العائلة، استشارة، بالراحة. إذن هذه كلها نعتبرها وش معايير تساعدنا على الاختيار. يعني يفترض أنه البدائل اللي موجودة أن نضعها في قائمة، جميع السيارات اللي ممكن تكون مناسبة مثلا وجميع الوكالات اللي تكون موجودة وتناسب احتياجاتنا نضعها في قائمة، ثم نقيم كل نوع من هذه الأنواع حسب المعايير اللي وضعناها. احنا وضعنا السعر، وضعنا الراحة، وضعنا السعة، وضعنا مثلا الدعم، وضعنا وجود أو قطع الغيار أنها موجودة وخدمة بعد البيع. ثم نأتي لكل عامل من هذه العوامل ونضع له وزن. لنفترض أن والله شخص ميزانيته محدودة، فبالنسبة له هذا المعيار بيكون ثقله أكبر، يعني بيعطيه وزن أكبر. بنقول والله هذا بيعطيه 30% وبقية المعايير نوزع عليها النسبة البقية حتى نوصل ل 100%. ثم نأتي كل سيارة من السيارات مثلا أو كل نوع من الأنواع نعطيه نسبة من 100، ثم نضربها في الأخير في الوزن اللي موجود عندنا. إذن كل معيار من هذه المعايير وضعنا له ميزان ولا ثقل، ثم قيمنا كل خيار من الخيارات هذه حسب المعايير الموجودة، ثم نأتي بالنتيجة اللي تكون أعلى نتيجة ونختار الاختيار اللي بيكون الأفضل. بالطريقة هذه احنا حولنا الاختيار إلى شيء كمي مبني على أرقام، وبالتالي احنا بتساعد انه الاختيار بيكون أقرب للصحة. الشيء اللي بعد ما نستخدم هذه الطريقة انه يفترض ان نبتعد عن الاشياء الشخصيه والاهواء الشخصيه. يعني احيانا بتكون النتائج تدعم اختيار معين، لكن الاهواء لا تتجه لاختيار اخر، فيفترض ان فعلا نثبت مع الاختيار اللي يثبت انه هو جدوى افضل. شكرا لكم.
السلام عليكم. طبعا الاخ معلوي اختار السياره، دورنا الان نشتري السياره. النقطة الأخيرة في البرزنتيشن إن حددنا المشكلة، فصلنا المشكلة، بعد كذا اتجهنا إلى معرفة الحلول والبدائل. آخر نقطة هي نقطة تطبيق الحلول. تطبيق الحلول يبدأ بتحديد بداية خطة العمل، فنبدأ نقسم الحلول أو آلية التنفيذ إلى خطة زمنية نحدد فيها مهام كل عملية. نتجه بعد ذلك إلى موضوع تحديد الأشخاص القياديين لحل المشكلة، ثم نبحث عن تنظيم الفريق بشكل كامل اللي بيستمرون أو بيقومون بتنفيذ كل مهمة. والمرحلة الأخيرة اللي مرحلة المراقبة، وهذه مرحلة أيضا مهمة جدا لمعرفة هل إننا أصلا ماشيين على الخطة ولا في أي انحراف أثناء التنفيذ. وأنا لاحظت الصراحة يعني بملاحظتي البسيطة أننا جيدين كثير في موضوع التخطيط، جيدين في موضوع تقسيم المهام، ولكن أحيانا يعني الحلقة المفرغة اللي دائما لاحظها الصراحة اللي هو طول النفس في تنفيذ ومتابعة ومراقبة العمل، وهذا يعني عنصر ضعف في كثير من المنظمات اللي أنا لاحظها خاصة عندنا كعرب يعني. ويمكن هذا ما وجدناه بشكل كبير عند غير العرب، لكن عند العرب طول النفس قصير، استعجال والعجلة على وصول الحلول موجود بشكل كبير. فما مشينا بالخطة اللي تقول لك slowly but effectively. هذه مي موجودة الصراحة عندنا في تطبيق كثير من الحلول اللي نصل إليها. هذا والله أعلم، وصلى الله وسلم على محمد. You are finished. Yes.
Great.
I think we solved all the problems.
Thanks very much, guys. I understood parts of what you were saying, and it seems to me you've done a great job. How did you organise yourselves to do that? Okay, great. Tell us how you organised. Good. How did you organise people? Yeah, so parcel. Going to offer you some ideas about another spectrum of leadership styles, which just I think helps us when it comes to looking at some of the era stuff. You may be familiar with this, you may not have seen it, I don't know. So, the two people who are behind this are, I believe, American behavioural scientists called Tannenbaum and Schmidt. So this should be available on the internet quite easily. Tannenbaum and Schmidt. And what they're essentially talking about, if you want to get commitment, involvement is a great way to get commitment. However, involvement takes time and sometimes isn't appropriate. The behaviours that you choose to use to get commitment are very different from the behaviours that you choose to use to get compliance. Could somebody translate commitment and compliance into Arabic, please, and draw a distinction between the two? Okay. Okay. So as an ideal, we can say that commitment is the most valuable thing a leader can have. Yes, that's true. However, if this building is on fire, if there's a fire through there, I don't want commitment. I want compliance. I want it now. Leave the building. I don't want you to think about how you might do it. I don't want you to discuss what the best way is. I don't want you to engage with me. I want you to do what I say, because it's vital. There isn't time to do anything else. So my choice of behaviour is determined to some extent by whether I want compliance or whether I'm looking for commitment. Tannenbaum and Schmidt identified a spectrum of behaviours that you might choose in using an approach to decision making. And the first one was tell. A tell style. Leave the building, it's on fire. If I choose to use a tell style, I'll describe what I want people to do, I'll direct them to do it, and I'll probably point out the bad things that will happen if they don't. You need to leave the building or you get set on fire. It's quite straightforward. That's a very useful thing to do at times. What happens if I do it too much? If I do it too much, people will turn off, will see me as not in any way looking to engage them. It won't work. But at times, it's ideal. If I move a little further towards involvement, I might choose what's called a sell style. And this describes what I would want people to do, and it describes the positive benefits. So it may be that I think we should relocate our headquarters to Jeddah. I believe that this will offer the following benefits, and this is what it will mean for you. So I lay out a vision, I sell a vision. I'm not telling people, I'm selling my vision. Can be very useful. If I do it too much, can lead to people saying, hey, we hear lots about your vision, we hear lots about what you think we should do. When do we get our chance to talk about our part of this vision? But a sell style has lots going for it. The next of these things, a consult style. If I look to use a consult style, I might say, okay, I'm thinking about getting us involved in this project on the Red Sea coast. You guys have considerable experience in projects like that. I'd like you to do some evaluation on whether you feel we should go for that. Give me that evaluation, and then I will choose what we do. That's important, the last bit. Then I will choose what we do. But I have involved you, and I've consulted you, and you have an input into this decision. The consult style. We've got more involvement. We're drawing on expertise. It's a helpful thing to have in our range. The next style would be what's called the share style. If I was using the share style, I might come along and say, we have an interesting project that's coming up to do with education of young people. Colleagues, let's take these 3 colleagues here. Let us together decide on whether we should embark on that project. We will decide together. I will not make the ultimate decision. We will make the ultimate decision. And each person's voice will be heard. Each person's voice will be have similar weight. The share decision-making style. And finally, the delegate decision-making style. A decision needs to be made about the organisation of the office facility on the middle floor of this building. I would like you guys to make the decisions about how that will be divided up within the constraints of we cannot afford to spend more than a certain amount of money, and we need to be able to seat 20 people. Can you let me know the decision that you have made? So this time, I'm delegating the decision. I'm not making the decision, I'm allowing that decision to be made by others within constraints. So what we've got overall, in this case, we've got authority given to the group. And in this case, we've got authority retained by the leader. Even when the leader chooses to delegate, there's still some authority retained for them. And even when the leader chooses to tell, there is still some authority that the group have within there. This is not about dictatorship or about abdication. It's somewhere in between. Now you can see these. This is where my masterpiece of a golf analogy comes in. I don't play golf. What I understand about golf is that I have a bag of clubs. And each of these clubs is different. Some of them are big, wooden-ended, long clubs that I can use to hit a ball a very long way. Some of the clubs are smaller metal putters which are precise. I don't move the ball a long way, but are very accurate. I will have a preference for which clubs I am most comfortable in using. This might be based on the sorts of golf course or golf club I used to visit when I was younger, perhaps. I may often choose, first of all, to reach for the clubs that I am most comfortable with, rather than the club that is the right club for this particular hole. Now, the same thing applies here. If I am most used to operating at this end of the scale, then perhaps I find it much more of a stretch to operate over here. If my beliefs about a leader are that they retain authority, I might find it hard to be effective at that end of the scale. If, on the other hand, my beliefs are around it is vital to involve people, it is vital to get their commitment, then for the times that I need to operate at this end, I may not make the right choice about behaviour. So we're talking about choice, we're talking about repertoire, we're talking about that golf bag being able to pick the right club and know that we can hit the ball effectively with it.
Just can you repeat the last?
Sure. If my beliefs about the right way for me to be a leader mean that I naturally prefer to operate at this end of this spectrum, then it may be quite a challenge for me. I may find it quite difficult when I have to operate at this end because that's the right thing to do for the situation. And the other way around. If my beliefs are that as a leader I must always get the best out of people by involving them, then there are going to be some situations where I need to behave differently from that, and I need to behave over here. Could anybody put what I've just said into Arabic? I'm looking particularly at the folk who've helped us so far. Can anybody encapsulate that? The idea of it's about having a range of behaviours and stepping back enough to think, okay, what does this situation take in terms of the behaviour? Rather than going with, I'm this kind of leader, I always do this. Anybody try that?
يعني هو الدكتور تكلم عن انه اذا جاء احنا نتكلم عنها بعد شوي في القاده الموقفيه، لما تكون في موقف حسب الموديل قد ترى نفسك في المكان الصحيح وتقوم بسلوك غير الصحيح يعني باندفاع عنه، لكن الاصوب مو بتصرف هذا، الاصوب انك توقف تتامل وترجع وتحاول انك تناظر من ابروش او مكان افضل وتقيم الوضع ثم تعود للإدارة الوضع او الموقف القيادي. بس.
Well done.
إذا وين صارت معتز تضيف يمكن شيء ما ذكرته؟
لا أعتقد أنه ذكرت شيء، بس في البداية هو كان يقول إنه في معظم الناس يمكن يكون في بداية السبكتروم اللي هو الفت. صحيح. إنه هو من الشخصيات اللي يشوف هو نفسه القائد الصحيح أو النموذج الصحيح، إنه هو دائما يمكن مصطلح مستحيل بس إنه يعطي أوامر. زي ما قال السيناريو تبع لو في حريقة ما يبغاك تفكر، يبغاك تنجز. إنه تطلع من قال إنه لو واحد موجود في هذه هو اعتقاد مين القائد حيواجه الصعوبة لو هو اعتقاد دائما إنه هو لازم يكون لأنه في سيتويشنز أو في سيناريوز اللي لازم يتطلب منك تكون بالجهة
صحيح.
فلازم يقول إنه الواحد يكون عنده فلكسبيتي.
صحيح، يعني تسأل نفسك صراحة دائما في الموقف هل أنا في المكان الصحيح؟ وليش ما أرجع وأشوف الوضع من جديد وأقيم أو أختار الموقف مرة أخرى؟
Thank you very much again. So, okay, so this is just one model of a range of leadership styles. There are many of these models. That is a very well regarded model. It's been going for quite a long time, and it's a useful way of describing things. We're going to now introduce you to the model that is used in your feedback. It's not the same, it is similar in some ways. So this is the ERAS model. Here's the sort of profile that you will see. And in the profile, we have 6 descriptions of style. And I'll go through each of them. In the case of this particular profile, this person has a strong match for the visionary style. I'll explain what that is. A strong match for the commander style and for the driver style. And a very weak match for the pragmatist style, for example. Okay, let's have a look. What's important to start with is this idea of situation, that there's no best style, there's no best profile. It's about each of the style choices has a place, and there is a consequence if it's overused. It's about repertoire, it's about that bag of golf clubs and having enough clubs that you feel capable of being effective with. These are the 6 styles in the model that we have here. Let's have a look at each of them. They're all a combination of thinking, feeling, people and drive behaviours. They're all built on the questions you answered about that. Let's have a look at the motivator. This is somebody who prefers to lead through effort, inspiring others, seen as a figurehead. This is going to be a very appropriate way in certain situations to get the best out of people. In some other situations, it may not be as strong. Let's look at the commander. The commander is somebody who is great when difficult decisions are being made. They're positive, they take that decision. There's a little quote at the bottom, I'm not sure where the quote comes from, but it means, cometh the hour, cometh the man, means in a difficult situation, somebody will emerge to be the strong person. Yes, that may well be true. This is about leading by offering a definite vision with not a lot of choices. It's very much operating at that end of tell on our Tannenbaum and Schmidt. The Democrat, the other end of the scale really, getting a collective sense of direction. It's in that share area on our Tannenbaum and Schmidt. Very much focused on people, aiming to get input. A popular consensus and commitment is what you get with this choice of approach. However, what's the downside, do you think? A downside of taking that approach? Anybody spot a downside, a negative to it?
Too much opinions without, taking the decisions.
Yeah, and also too much time.
Yes.
It takes a long time to establish that consensus. The benefit is you get commitment. The downside is people may run out of commitment because of the time that the whole thing takes. Yeah, exactly. So pluses and minuses for each of these. The visionary. This is a person who is compelling in the sense that their ideas are so attractive that people are swept along with it. A visionary of real intellectual insight. What sort of behavioural characteristics might a person who has a preference for working like this as a leader have? Do you remember back to those 26? Well, I think we're very likely to see things like creativity high. We're very likely to see things like conformity low. So the whole thing's linked together. Right, next one. The pragmatist. The pragmatist gets things done by being practical, by being cautious, not a risk taker until all the evidence has been pulled in, and then having a down-to-earth, practical set of actions beyond that. So a person who has a strong match for pragmatist probably has quite a lot of cautiousness in their profile, probably has quite a lot of taking charge in there, probably has a lot of analysis in their profile as well. So you can start to see how these things link together.
Just more inclined by down to earth.
Down to earth. Yeah? Is that good enough? Yeah. Okay. And lastly, the driver. Rolling their sleeves up, getting on with it. This again is a big drive choice. The just do it school of thought. Taking this choice, you're talking about getting things moving, not allowing procrastination. This is about getting things done quickly as well. This is about setting the pace for people. What do you think happens if this is overdone? If this is done too much? What happens for the people who are being led? It's often the case that you can lose their commitment. Often the case that people view this person as just bulldozing their own agenda through. It's got its place, but there are downsides if it's overdone. Okay. Those are the two key questions really. What sort of situations is that style a good choice? And what are the consequences if we do too much of that? Right. Let us invite you now to have a look at your feedback. When you look at the document, you'll be familiar with pages 2 and 3. You got those on the first module. You'll be familiar with page 5. You had that on the last module. Page 6 is a reiteration of that first page. There's nothing new on page 6. The bit that's new is on page 4. Okay? On page 4, you have the new stuff around your leadership style preferences. And just turning to an English one. A really helpful thing to look at is in this space here, we have a little bar around the need to manage. And this means really, to what extent have you expressed a need to direct and manage other people's behaviours? Okay? So, if you have a strong match, you have a very strong need to make an impact on people by managing and directing them. If you have a weak match, you have less of a need to do that. So if your job involves doing that, you have to work out ways that you can be comfortable doing it, do more of it perhaps. If you have a very strong match for need to manage, maybe you need to think about, okay, is that getting the best out of people by allowing them, enabling them, or am I constantly seeking to have my hands on? We saw a great example in the colourblind blindfold exercise of a good balance of hands on and hands off, and let the group inhabit it. So that's the information you're going to get off here. Any general questions on what you're about to get? Okay, if you'd like to come up and get it, there's an Arabic version behind your English version. Okay, we're going to take a few minutes to reflect solo on this. So the time now is 7:30. We'll start work together again at 7:50. Until then, if you can read particularly the leadership style profile, and do the exercise that we've done now a number of times about a tick by things that you recognise, a cross next to things that you don't recognise, and a question mark on things that you're not very sure about. Okay? So tick, cross, and question mark on the aspects of leadership style choices that are described in there. Please don't discuss with anybody else yet. Okay? And do be aware you've got other stuff in there that you've seen already. So don't get tracked into the other stuff you've seen already. The important stuff is on page number 5, is it? 4. Page number 4 is where you're going with this. So it's on page 4. Solo, be back in here at 10 to 8 and we'll task you up for the next part of this. Okay, so you've got 20 minutes to have a read. To what extent that added to the sum total of human understanding or not.
I get this.
Yep, okay.
This is not very clear. Need to manage. What do you mean by
okay?
Which area?
This is about the overall extent to which you have a preference for managing other people's activity.
But
right?
I'm average 5.
Yeah, in the middle. Yeah.
That's mean I do both. Like I sometimes. Hands-on, sometimes hands-off.
Oh, it doesn't necessarily mean what you do, it means what your preference is.
Yes.
So there's going to be people in the room who have a really strong preference to manage other people's behaviour, but their job role, which could be 7 or 8, something like that, but their job role might mean, well, they don't get a chance to do that very much. It doesn't tell them either whether they're any good at it, but it tells them they have got a preference for doing it.
Okay. So for me, it's like I don't mind both.
Yeah, exactly. It's more the extremes that would be the things to somebody with a weak match. You've got to ask the question: well, do you want to be a leader of people because you don't necessarily get much out of it? Do you get much out of it? Or if you have a really strong match, when you're leading people, do you see it as something that's about getting the best out of them, or do you see it as them just doing what you want? You see what I mean? In the middle, you're in an easy
might
position.
be the desire to think, right, and I need to organise this, I need to sort this out now. It won't happen unless I do something. Where actually it might happen if you do nothing. If you get dealt in your way. So if you had a strong match, you might feel, right, okay, this is my job to sort people out. I need to tell them how to do this.
Typically, someone with a strong match for need to manage would have masses of the drive thing on the first page, back there the way. Would have masses of this stuff. Not a great deal of that stuff. Not a great deal of that stuff, and quite a bit of that. That's how it all links up, really. So they'd have the energy, they'd want to do it, they'd want to push people forward, etc. But perhaps...
I need to say exactly what I have, but... Okay.
So it is good to look at it in the context of the other page as well.
Sounds good.
Yeah. So yes, let's spend a lot of time.
Sure, yeah.
So this is the last evaluation, right? So I noticed something. All the description of each point, you say that you are good, you are okay. So I mean, I don't know what's the point should I make on it.
Yeah, I think I understand what you mean. So what we've focused on is that all these behaviours have a positive place, have an environment where they would be good to do, good to prefer. And we haven't explored, well, where are they not good then? We've left it to an extent to people. Part of this is understanding the context that you operate in. Let me explain. If you operate... We've had some great conversations now with colleagues about aspects of the way that the data can be used. If you can just focus up for a moment, we'll start the next part of this conversation. So... Come on, guys. You're doing it anyway, I know. But okay. This next bit's doing what you were starting to do anyway, really, which is to work back in your peer development groups. How are we doing on numbers in the groups? So these are the groups, are they, that you sat in? Yeah, okay. So we've got 2, 3, 4. Yeah, we'll do this anyway. Yeah. I think one of our colleagues had to leave, mind you, but yeah. Okay, where I'd like to take you is to page 6 of your workbook. And I'd like you to have with your colleague or colleagues on the table a conversation and perhaps make a couple of notes on here about the following. Which of those 6 styles do you most recognise in yourself? That's a combination of the data that you've had and also your own thoughts on that data. The tick, cross and question mark exercise.
Page number?
Page number 6. Just have a speculate on in what sort of situations is your choice of being a strong match for commander, for example, a really good choice. Situations that you're in. And what might happen if you choose to do that style, do that pattern of behaviour too consistently? What might happen to yourself or the people around you? So it's that conversation. It's just bringing this to life a little. We'll take 10 minutes to have that conversation. So if you're in a pair, that's 5 minutes each. If there's 4 of you, you haven't got a lot of time. So 10 minutes or so.
So it's saying, what do you score? And is that consistent?
So there's one in Arabic and there's one in English.
You guys okay? Yeah, there are some definitions in there as well.
So we've got about 6 sets of data for people who aren't here.
Okay.
I think unlike the last pieces where we've deliberately not handed them out without having some kind of connection with us, I think we can't afford to do that. If there are people there who are coming to Bray Day, then we should put their feedback in their hands so they've at least read it before they arrive. So we'll wait through tomorrow. We might get people tomorrow that we haven't had today.
And I think one of them has left, or 2 of them have left.
Yeah, got flights tonight. Oh, I saw, right. Oh, okay.
Let me just get the name.
So 2 have left before they picked it up?
No, we think that
there was
2.
4 on that table.
Yeah, no, we're getting cross purposes. I think what Moussa is saying is that 2 people have pulled out of the whole programme.
Oh, right.
Yeah, so Abdulaziz Hassan Zakari.
Who was that, sorry?
Abdulaziz Zakari.
Okay, I don't remember who that was.
I think he has a report there. Faisal Adwaish.
I know who Faisal is. Yeah.
He's no longer
okay.
part of the program.
He was here last time for a day.
Yeah. He's the CEO of Viola Waters.
Oh, okay.
He's what, sorry?
He's the CEO of Viola Waters.
Yeah.
And the other participant has left the organization, left the program. I think his name is Abdullah Al-Owain.
Yes. Yeah. Okay.
So I think there's. I don't know if he has a report because I think he does it. So 3 reports. They have
Right. Let's just have a walk over there and we'll grab them. So take them out of the pile.
Yeah.
So that's Abdullah Al-Owain.
Yes.
But somebody in the room has taken the Arabic version of that.
This guy has
So whether it's been taken by one of his colleagues. So Faisal's out the game, okay. Well, and Abdullah is also out the game?
They say. Because that's what he said to me.
All right, well, we'll assume that's right. We can always get other copies if it need be. But, right. So we're still looking for homes for this and we're not sure about...
What name is that?
No, this guy has left as well.
Okay.
This guy apparently left from after the first session. So
one of his colleagues in the room, perhaps got a friend in the room, who's taking a version for him.
No.
It's fine. It's fine. So... So do get into the conversation, guys. It's more important that you get into the conversation than you make the personal notes. Get talking about your take on this stuff. So is this giving us a definitive for how many people we're expecting on the event as well?
Yes. Should do. Unless things do change.
It's a working number for Brave, isn't it?
combination.
Yeah.
Yes.
We had three.
Two have left.
Yeah.
The third one, he's left from the first session. After the first session, he hasn't attended.
Yeah.
So they've removed his name from the register. I just want to check why he put a star next to this guy. And if there's anything else, can you pull it? That leaves us with 20.
We had 15 today at the height.
Well, we can tomorrow afternoon we can have as many sensible groups of about 5 or 6 as. I don't think we'll have observers. I think we'll just get them into it.
Yeah, I think so.
There's some super questions coming up now. The only concern is that they do spread the answers to those questions around, so not everybody, because otherwise we've got 2 or 3 people who have got completely wrong end of the stick.
I had a concern about somebody worried about the law skills.
Yeah.
Trying to explain that.
Likewise, yeah.
You're not.
أنت محبين الدفاع هو ما
You're a fast runner, but you're a marathon runner.
Yeah.
You're a sprinter. and you go, well, that can't be true, can it?
That's a great example. That's one of the best examples I've heard. I think I might invite you to.
So, and I was sort of saying, relish that you're a marathon runner, or relish you're a sprinter.
Yeah, and be
but
great
don't
at
worry
marathons.
Yeah. You're not. You can't be, because it's contradictory completely.
Okay. So for this list, this person will be attending, so we'll be ending up with 19 participants.
Okay.
And who was that, sorry?
Ali Al-Khuzayyi. Ali Al-Khuzayyi. His report is here.
Yeah.
He's not withdrawn from the program, but he has university exams at the same time. Rafa. So he won't be coming to the trip, but...
I don't think we're going to do stacks more tonight. I think we'll just hear back from this and we'll close it down tonight, I think. Yeah. Ian, I might call out that example from you. So. I might once again ask you to do an Arabic version of the conversation that we had, but we think we have a good analogy, a good example to talk about this, which I'll ask Ian to give, and you can perhaps back it up. Yes, same sort of conversation that we had. Yeah. So, okay, folks, we're going to draw this part of the day to a close now. As I think everybody's now working with, it's these conversations that are as important, maybe even more important, than the actual data. And the reason for that is about context. I understand the frustration, and I've had similar frustrations about a document that doesn't seem to tell me what I should do. Why doesn't this document tell me clearly what I must do? Okay. The reason for that is it doesn't know your context. It doesn't know your situation. It doesn't know what you're setting out to do. I can't think of a better example than one Ian has just talked about, which is, Ian, I want to be a great runner. What do I need to do to be a great runner?
Well, it depends how you want to.
What do you mean it depends? I want to be a great runner. Tell me what I must do.
Do you want to run fast and short, or do you want to run forever and a long time?
Huh? Oh, I want to be a sprinter. I want to be like Usain Bolt. What must I do?
So you need to look at what Usain Bolt did. You need to look at his training. You look at his tactics, and you need to fit that to what you want to do.
But I've seen that guy Mo Farah. He looks great. Can I not do what he does?
Well, you could, but then you'd have to go down that path. You can't be everything.
Ah.
You can't be at either end of the scale. You've got to be content at being great at that and not being so great at that.
Okay.
And realising
that's the best thing to be, or that's the best thing to do. You can't be both.
So if I hear you right, if I get to be a great sprinter, then the chances are I'll build up my muscles to power me off the start line.
Skills that will help you do that, what you want to do, but it won't necessarily help you to do at that end. So you've got to make a decision of where you want to go.
But those same muscles that I would build up to be the great sprinter, I don't see Mo Farah. He hasn't got those muscles.
Because he's not a great sprinter. He's a long distance runner. So he's developed different skills. And that's what this is about.
حوار صراحة جميل جدا جدا. هو كان قبل شوي نسأله عن بعض الصفات وقلت له أنا طيب عندي هذا الأسلوب ذا أو هذا السمات هذه أو النمط اللي شرحته لي وش أحتاج أنا فيه؟ قال على حسب الموقف، لا يعني إن كان جيد هنا أو ضعيف هنا، على حسب الموقف. فهو الآن قاعد يسأل هو صار عندي أسئلة يقول لي أنا ودي أصير يعني بطل مرة بالسباق. قال لي بالسباقات القصيرة ولا طويلة؟ أختار. قال طيب ممكن اقوي عضلاتي تنفع الثنتين؟ قال لا ما تقدر تقوي عضلاتك، خلينا نقول عضلاتك القياديه وتنفع الثنتين، انت ايضا انك تكون هنا مضبوط السباقات الطويله اللي تبي طول نفس تبدا بدايه هادي وهدفك ال 10 كيلو ماراثون، ولا انك تصير ابو 200 متر وهدفك انك تنطلق زي الصاروخ زي بولت وربعه. فاتوقع احنا بالوضع القيادي مثل يعني لا يمكن ان نكون زي مهندس علي زي محمد وزي عبد العزيز زي نواف، لا انا لازم افهم انا ومش انا احمد وين النقاط قوة الكنمط في الموقف اللي أنا فيه، وين النقاط الحرص الطويلة. يعني أنا استفدت من هنا أن عندي أشياء تتوقع أن تميز فيها طبعا عندي ضعف، ويقول مو ضعف، يقول أنت تعرفها بس. يجي الموقف بعدين تقول لا أنا هذه يحتاج شيء أكبر. على سبيل المثال كان عندنا مثل مرة مواقف ممتازين بالتحفيز، بس ما احنا جيدين بالحزم. خلاص المواقف اللي تبي حزم سريع فيها صعوبة جو واحد ثاني. مضبوط. يمكن الحزم يصير نائب لك قوي عنيف شوي. يمكن الحزم عند المدير المالي اللي يوقف كل شيء. فإذا هي الأسلوب والنمط على حسب الموقف.
Thank you very much. But both our English version, have you got an English version of this?
English version.
But both our sprinter and our marathon runner probably share optimism. They probably have quite a lot of optimism. They probably have a lot of buoyancy, being able to bounce back from setbacks. They may have a lot of energy and need for challenge, but other things might be quite different. It's the same with our instrument. Thank you very much again. Sir.
I think the thing as well is that people worry about having a completely round profile. It's impossible to do that. It's contradictory. So it's kind of realising that some things you'll score high on, some things your score will be low. And then it's deciding, well, is that important to you? In the job I do I need to score high there? And if I do, then I can move towards that. Or if I'm scoring high at that area, am I using that skill to the best of its advantage? So I think that I was saying as well to somebody that the first stage of development is being self-aware. And this is all about being self-aware. And this, I guess the second stage is checking it out with people. So you're in a great position to talk to people you work with, to say, hey, I've had this profile, I've had a report, this is what it suggests. Do you think I do that? And get that, ask them, because they've been watching you even subconsciously. They know how you are in situations, they know what you're good at, they know where you might want to develop. So I guess you start to do it with each other. And the really next step is to start doing it with your colleagues at work as well. And we'll talk more about that later.
Okay, everybody. I think we'll say that we'll close our day on that, and we'll welcome you back tomorrow at the same time. Tomorrow again, we'll have a practical exercise. You won't need to wear blindfolds, but it will be similar in the sense of having a goal, having a challenge to try to overcome. Thanks very much for your time today. Enjoyed it a lot. So,